Hey everyone, welcome back to the 235 Film Podcast. You are listening to episode 5 of season 2, where Brandt and I explore 10 classic sci-fi films from the 20th century. Today we have the pleasure of giving our thoughts to Ridley Scott's crowning achievement, the 1972 neo-noir sci-fi Blade Runner. This is considered to be the turning point of the genre and what so many sci-fi films since have attempted to emulate. Listen in as Brandt and I do our best in analyzing the themes of the film and compare it to its 2017 sequel.
Yeah, so hey, I'm following this account on Instagram. I think it's called The Dance of Cinema.
Oh, yeah. You've sent me a couple of their stuff.
So right now he's going through this bracket, and he's trying to narrow his way down to the best film of all time.
Yeah, I know. I've been keeping up with that. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so today's is the original A New Hope, the original Star Wars, and Thin Red Line.
Oh,
I know. How do you even compare? I think Thin Red Line would take it.
I personally probably would go with Thin Red Line as well.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's more to come back to there.
So like 2 days ago, it was Portrait of a Lady on Fire versus There Will Be Blood.
Oh, that's more difficult.
And that's what he said. He said in his comment that there's never been one up to this point, and he's done like 40 of these lineups already. There hasn't been one at one point where he said both of them deserve to win. But when he put that one up, he was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, both of these deserve the win here. Like,
yeah, man, have you watched Portrait of a Lady on Fire?
No, not yet. I haven't. But
it's on Hulu, I think.
I know. I follow somebody. It might be him, but they do like a weekly lineup of like the top 10 things that you can find on Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, and Shudder, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say QB, but rest in peace. Am I right?
Oh my
God. Christoph Waltz.
He
delivered too much of a performance. No, I can't hear him. I can't hear him. Are they having a rager out there or what?
I don't know what they're doing out there, but I think I hear kids and they're screaming. So.
I see. Does your apartment complex allow children?
No. Only pets.
See. Yes, just pets, no kids. Yes.
Hey, this week we talked about I guess we're going to talk about.
Yep, this week we talked about Blade Runner, and
now we're gonna watch
the episode.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Hey, we watched Blade Runner. I actually watched it a couple weeks ago, but we're going to talk about it now.
Yeah. Hey, so I watched Blade Runner. This is actually the first time for me watching it without the narration.
No way.
Yeah, it is. This is the first time
100 times better.
Hearing absolutely. So for the listeners who don't know, Blade Runner was released actually in 5 different versions. There was
7.
7. Was it 7?
Yeah, there's 7 total versions.
Yeah, because there was 2 director's cuts, right?
It's nuts. There's the director's cut and then the final cut, which is the newest
2
one.
2 theatrical releases.
There's a US theatrical and an international theatrical.
Right.
And then there's 2 like preview edits.
Right.
2 preview
one of those
cuts.
was the original one that went to theaters. And then
it? Okay.
The one that was released box office weekend was that whatever the preview cut was. And then the one that came out like a week after, like before it hit worldwide release, was the US theatrical release and then the international theatrical release. And like differences in like the first 5 were like deleted scenes or not deleted scenes, but for those 5 there was like narration on all of them.
Yeah.
And then until like the last one, the final cut was the one that was released without that, right?
No. The director's cut also didn't have voiceover.
How funny is that, dude?
So I found out that the studio just thought, I don't know if they thought, I'm not sure why exactly they thought they needed to add voiceover.
Oh, I know why.
But they I guess they thought it was just really
it's a noir staple. It's a noir staple.
Yes.
It is,
but not to the point that it is.
I think it is.
I think there's so much voiceover in the theatrical release. So much voiceover.
What's so funny?
So much so that, okay, so we talked about this in the first season whenever we were talking about Blade Runner 2049. And I mentioned that when I first watched Blade Runner, I couldn't get past the scene where Deckard meets Rachel.
Oh, right.
Because he's got so much voiceover in that part that like it was over the dialogue. There was voiceover coming over the dialogue.
Right.
And
right,
I
right,
couldn't
right.
stand it, and I turned it off. So I was like, I don't understand why everybody loves this movie, because I didn't know that there were other cuts to this. So I was just so perplexed about how people could enjoy this.
Right.
I'm like, how can people enjoy? How is this a classic? Like, this is not good. It's incomprehensible. So I took it off, and I did not watch it for years, and I didn't give it a second thought. So when I heard Blade Runner 2049 was coming out, I was like, why?
Yeah.
I was like, why? Why is this happening?
So did you hit Blade Runner again?
So yeah, I hit it again when I was with my roommate. My roommate was like a big Josh, you know Josh. He loves Blade Runner. So I was like, I'll give it another shot. Like, there's this new movie coming out. I like the director. Ryan Gosling's all right. Let's do it.
What do you mean, all right, dude? All right. All right. Ryan Gosling, what he does is he just vomits gold constantly. I don't understand. All right. All right. All right, dude. What would Damien Chazelle think if he heard you saying all this stuff?
You're acting like me in last week's episode when I was trying to defend Alien, okay?
Ryan Gosling's all right. Okay, go ahead. Dude, and your favorite's in there too, Jared Leto. What do you mean?
No, Jared Leto's not my favorite.
Yes, dude. Yes. You said
Jared Leto, I feel like is very
Squad was your favorite movie of all time.
No, what?
Yeah, dude. You said his
crazy.
Joker performance was
if you remember correctly, I didn't even really
Ledger's.
like Jared Leto's character in Blade Runner 2049. So
I remember. I'm just razzing your berries.
But anyway, so I watched it, and I believe we watched the final cut when I watched it the second time, and I really loved it. So but yeah, dude.
The difference between the director's cut and the final cut was that unicorn scene.
The director's cut and the final cut, yeah,
was that unicorn memory, right?
Yes. No.
I know the difference between one of the cuts and the other one was that the director felt it necessary that the unicorn scene be put back in because they had cut that in the beginning. But he felt
no. I believe the director's cut did have. I believe I'm remembering this right, but I believe the director's cut had the unicorn scene, and the theatrical version didn't have the unicorn scene. But the major difference between I think you may be right.
There's got to be a difference because both the director's cut and the final cut had voiceover taken away.
Right. I think you may be right. I think that the major difference between the director's cut and the final cut is both the dream sequence with the unicorn and also the color grading is way different.
Right. So they filmed like 40 days of this production was in the rain or something like that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Harrison Ford said that he would go back and film another 40 days in the rain if he could never do narration for this. He said that was the most exhausting thing he's ever done.
Well, it's funny because I was curious because I didn't finish the theatrical version, so I don't know exactly how bad it eventually got. But apparently I watched some deleted scenes from the theatrical version that had an alternate ending. Oh, that's what it is. The theatrical version has an alternate ending. It doesn't just cut away whenever they get into the elevator or whenever the door closes. It goes on to like Deckard and Rachel like driving away into the wilderness.
I see.
And it's funny, two things. It's funny because I watched that deleted scene and the deleted from the directors in the final cut. I watched that deleted scene and there's a ton of voiceover and Harrison Ford sounds exhausted and he doesn't give a single crap about
not one single crap
what he's saying. But the other thing is that scene is actually interwoven with scenes from The Shining. Did you know this?
No. Interlinked even?
So interlinked, yeah, good one. That opening scene of The Shining where the helicopter is going up towards the overlook and it reaches the car and all that. So cuts from that, like parts that didn't make it into The Shining, they used on this Blade Runner, the ending.
Incredible. Dude,
so funny.
Yeah, that is. So what do you think about it, Blade Runner?
Oh, as a whole?
Yeah.
I really enjoy it.
Me too.
I like it a lot. And I do definitely see how much film noir it is inspired by. Like it's very noir.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that it kind of like I almost feel like it pulls itself back into the noir era a bit. And what I mean by that is that it doesn't feel like an 80s movie.
No.
Like it's a futuristic film and it sets up the future in very big details and things like that. and it really expands on the set and like what it's supposed to be and feel like, but it did not feel like an 80s movie.
No.
It felt like early 70s
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, I think that's craft too.
60s maybe.
That felt right to me. Like
Yeah.
it's so funny you say that because it definitely does prostrate itself as future, but also like everything else feels so aged. Like it's so funny. It's so funny because is this the first example of neo-noir that we've seen? Like futuristic,
in
like
film?
sci-fi noir? Yeah.
Oh man,
Because
I don't know.
iRobot kind of had that feel to me too, you know?
Okay, but that was like 30 years later.
Yeah,
20
I
years
guess
later.
if you want to put a timestamp on things, sure. It was a little later.
Yeah, I can't think of other films that may have that before this. I can't think of it really. So I mean, we may be wrong. If you guys know, let us know.
I was
below
thinking
comments
in
or
the
something.
same vein of like artificial intelligence also. Like I don't think there's a ton of data on artificial intelligence before this.
Yeah, I can't really think of it either. It's funny that you mentioned that because I thought it was really interesting that Ridley Scott back to back hits on this like android humanoid aspect of things.
Let me
especially
stop
with
you right.
oh,
sorry, I want to stop you right there and
oh.
ask you a question that I meant to ask in the last episode. But
Okay.
We're gonna pump the brakes on Blade Runner for a
boy.
second and let me ask you: does Mother become a more prominent feature in the films of Alien
no.
afterwards?
No, Mother was just part of that ship.
Okay,
So I think it's just an OS system basically.
I see. Okay,
An OS system, an operating system.
yes, OS system.
Yeah, I think it was just in that film. If I remember correctly, Aliens didn't have that, and neither did Resurrection or Alien 3. But yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that. I think Ridley Scott wasn't trying to like follow up on what HAL 3000 did.
Right.
3000, 9000.
Was
it 9,000 or 3,000? I can't remember now.
9,000. But yeah,
I love you 3,000. No.
yeah, yes. Yep. Yes, I love you that many times too.
Okay, go.
But yeah,
Sorry.
what you're saying is absolutely right. Between Ash and then now Blade Runner, it's like he was working on something. Like he had this like I don't know, because
He was feeling very inspired.
yeah, I guess so. Like so I did some research after I saw this because I also watched Blade Runner like a week ago, something like that. And so like Metropolis came out in the 30s. And Metropolis was AI, but there was a massive gap between that and like HAL 9000, for instance, where we don't see another instance of like forefront of a film, learned computers, and then like in this one span of time we start to see it hit like, and maybe that's just because of the prominence of space race and technological. Like maybe in the 30s, that wasn't really something. It was just an idea. But now in the 60s, 70s, 80s, it's starting to become something that's like
it's latching on a lot more to the forefront of the human.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. What did you think about Blade Runner?
Dude, I love it. I love it. I felt like in the past, like I haven't really watched Blade Runner for what it is. I've just kind of like leisurely watched it, you know, but like watching it this time, like I really, really enjoy it. It's funny to me how much like sci-fi as a whole equates to the concept of like our humanity. It's like science fiction is surrounding who we are as humans. Like almost as if we're questioning ourselves as humans as we look out to find what's next. You know what I mean? And Prometheus and Alien do just that. Like we're like questioning our humanity and where we came from and how we got here. So that's what the core of it is. Now, Alien, not so much, I guess. I guess the only reason I think that way is because of the knowledge that we have from Prometheus and Alien Covenant.
Right.
But still, like, and dude, Solaris is 100% that. Like, this movie is a search for humanity and what humanity means. I mean, Roy Batty's character, Rachel, all they're doing is searching for.
I think we mentioned the same. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, no problem.
Another beer day. I think we mentioned the same thing when we did our episode on Blade Runner 2049
Right.
about just how much. It's funny that we did these backwards. We
Right.
did 2049 first.
Yeah,
in
no,
the first
Bree and
season.
I were talking about that today. My wife.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who that was.
Yeah,
Bree.
Brianna. Well, that was more for the listeners who don't have an intimate relationship with my wife and I.
Intimate. Whoa.
Right. Well, I mean, you know.
Where are we going here?
Well, I mean, we have an intimate friendship. Like we've known each other for years.
Yeah.
You know Brianna.
That's true.
And you know.
That's true. But it's funny that we like did these backwards because I remember when we talked about Blade Runner 2049, we felt so much like Denis Villeneuve really excelled on the themes that Ridley Scott puts forth there in this one.
Absolutely.
And I still stand by that.
Yeah.
I think that he pushes the themes a little bit more as far as he can take it.
Right.
And I that's not to say that Ridley Scott didn't do right by this film or by the themes at all, because he definitely was the one that like put them at the forefront to begin with.
Yeah.
As far as like this whole humanoid thing, which is interesting because I feel like he explores these themes even more so in like Prometheus and
absolutely.
Alien Covenant too, to an extent.
Right.
So it's funny that like Denis Villeneuve actually
He also does it in American Gangsters.
does he?
Absolutely. Yep. Artificial intelligence and the exploration of humanity in space is a big theme in American Gangsters as well.
Right, totally.
Ridley Scott's onto something here.
I just think it's funny that like Denis Villeneuve had like expanded on the themes of Blade Runner, but Ridley Scott himself also expanded it, although in a different series altogether.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting.
Yeah. He was on something in his sci-fi journey. Like, I don't know. I feel like yourself, like as we watch this stuff, we have to be in positions too, like especially with something like Solaris or even 2001 A Space Odyssey, like these are the kind of movies that then make you question your humanity, you know what I mean? Like Blade Runner.
Right.
Blade Runner does a really good job of making us think like, oh shoot, like these people are struggling so much to understand who they are. And then we point that back at ourselves and start to think about who we are, like what our humanity is.
It's funny you mentioned that because in the Arrival episode last season, I think I mentioned that like in a film about aliens, that the main theme in the whole thing was about the humanity of the characters themselves. Right. Whereas we see the same thing here, and I guess in a lot of sci-fi, I think most sci-fi,
that's what I'm saying.
Good sci-fi films are really about the human connection to whatever it is that they're exploring in the theme.
Yeah,
and even more so, sometimes I think the best sci-fi films are completely about the humans in the, like the human characteristics and what they're trying to explore those characters themselves. Yeah. Like how the story arc between those characters themselves and almost having nothing to do with what the film like plot is about. So it's really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, now on that, like Blade Runner is that, like the plot of the film is discovering humanity, you know, and like you and
I do believe that.
I mean, yeah, the point of the movie is like,
I think it's, I guess we'll arrive to this question. Eventually. Yeah, we'll arrive to this question eventually about is Deckard human or is he?
I guess we've gotten there now.
But I think that question is more at the theme of this film than anything else.
Yeah.
Even though there are a lot of themes surrounding this film, I think the main theme in this that encompasses all the other themes has to do with that question, answering that question, whether Deckard is a replicant or not, even if he doesn't question it himself in the film, because I don't think he actually does.
No, I don't either. And it's just like in 2049. And dude, off of that, like I was when we were doing the 2049 episode, and when we were watching that, I thought that Villeneuve did such a perfect job of making us feel what Kay felt when he started to realize.
Oh yeah, fantastic.
I feel like Blade Runner does the same exact thing. Like I feel like, you know, he doesn't question it, and maybe it's because now we're equipped with the knowledge of like Blade Runner 2049 a little bit more, that our eyes are a little bit wider open to this, but like I feel like the audience knows.
Right. Well, I think it's interesting because I don't think Harrison Ford, Deckard, I don't feel like Deckard actually questions whether he's a replicant or not in this film, and I don't think he does so in the second one either. And honestly, I can't remember now if Denis Villeneuve even answers that question.
No,
I don't think he gives time to that question at all.
No,
he doesn't.
No, which good on him. I think that
I agree.
That gives originality a little bit.
Yeah,
I like that.
I agree. But I think the audience starts questioning those themes in the story in Blade Runner, kind of like subvertly. You don't really like, it's not in your face at all ever. It's never in your face whether he's a replicant or not.
It's craft.
That's
dude.
never
It's craft.
never in your
That's craft.
I even think that there's a slight I almost feel like Ridley Scott was trying to cover his tracks with the whole element of whether he's a replicant or not by making us question just like his character arc itself, because he goes from being like this retired retired Blade Runner, retired because I don't really know if he was retired or if he stepped away or if he was forced into retirement.
Was he a Blade Runner before?
What?
Was he a Blade Runner before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't, and they never really give us why he left or if he was forced out of it or whatever, but forced into retirement. But it gives us like this is really like hardened individual. His character is very hardened.
Yeah.
He's very no shit's given, like straight to the point kind of thing. And by the end, or even in that scene where Rachel comes to see him in his loft, and he like kind of like tells her that she's a replicant, like trying to give her all these like memories that she supposedly had, but really she didn't have these memories. Right. But he feels like an asshole right there. Like in that moment, you can tell in his face, he changes and he starts to realize that he doesn't like who he is. I don't know if you caught that, but like even after that, he goes like out to drink and drinks away his sorrow.
Yeah, but
and I think a lot of that has to do.
Kay could do that in 2049. He felt emotion.
That's true. That's true.
That's the whole point of giving replicants memories, is so that they have a way to feel. There's no.
That's true.
There's nothing that says that replicants can't feel emotion. It's when.
No, I agree with that. That's not what I was saying. I was saying
it's when
that
animals start to get harmed that we have a problem.
But I think what I was saying is that Ridley Scott never gives us that question to answer. That's what I'm saying. We just see him as a human. We never question whether he's a replicant or not because Ridley Scott never gives us the reason to question that. You know what I mean? Everybody around him may be replicants. And because we're following him, we think that he's a protagonist. He's the one that's normal. He's most like us, right? So I think throughout the film, and also like when you walk out, you start to question, and the origami and the dream and all that stuff makes you question whether he is a replicant or not. But I don't think Ridley Scott was ever trying to answer that. Although
he said that too.
Well, it's funny because like he's kind of gone back and forth on the whole issue. Yeah. And there's like an interview of him saying that he is a replicant. Yeah. So it's like, at this point, I don't care if he's a replicant.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And honestly,
and I think that's what it really matters, is that we shouldn't care whether he's a replicant or not.
Right. Well, I think, and part of that I think too is trying to level the playing field so that replicants don't necessarily stand out too much. Like I think they needed to give us a Blade Runner who was hardened and a little bit more free of emotion in a way, so that those small glimpses of emotion from him or a replicant would just blend together. So we're constantly questioning everything. You know what I mean? I can see that. I mean, Rachel was the one who was a dead giveaway, and apparently her Voight-Kampff test was like the hardest.
Yeah, honestly,
to read.
That's so confusing to me.
I don't get it.
She's so robotic in her demeanor.
Replicant. Kill her.
But even I do like how they do the little giveaway with the iris being like reflective.
In every scene too, like they
and she has that.
They
you
set the baseline with the Voight-Kampff thing, and then after that, every scene with a replicant in it, the replicant has that like glimmer in the retinas. Yeah. That is cool. That is cool.
It's very cool.
It's like when color grading changes from flashbacks to flash forwards, like that small little cue to give us like an idea that something's different. I think that's cool.
It is, yeah. But that's what I agree with you on that. Like Rachel is probably the most in your face, like, yeah, she's definitely a replicant, but somehow she's able to like go on do this test for like over an hour.
Yeah, dude. And Tyrell thought he was big stuff. Like, check out this. Tell me now. Can you tell me that this is a robot? Absolutely. She's a robot.
Yeah, I don't know how much I don't know. I actually don't know if I've ever seen her in anything else.
No, I don't think so. Well, Blade Runner 2049. You saw her in that.
Well, not really though.
Yeah, but you saw her.
Yeah, but she didn't have the same color eyes though. Hey, did you read Philip K. Dick's book on this, like, or his?
You know what? I sure did.
Was it a short story? I actually don't even know.
No, it was a full novel. What was it called? Like a guide to Android.
Do androids dream of electric sheep?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yep. No, I didn't read it. And honestly, like, I don't think that's necessarily a huge deal because from what I've seen online and interviews that I've read, it's loosely based off of that.
Okay.
So like the names are the same. They're called replicants. They're called what's the model that they are? Nexus 6.
No, Nexus is it Nexus 6? Yeah.
Yep. They're called Nexus 6 replicants. That's
I thought Nexus 6 was the ones in 2049.
It might be
8. I can't remember.
Nexus 8. Wow, advanced.
Hey, I wonder where that title comes from though. Do androids dream of electric sheep?
Have you looked at his lineup of novels?
No, are they all?
They're all kind of off. They're all kind of off the wall like that.
Off kilter with it. It reminded me of Silence of the Lambs because Silence of the Lambs, the name by itself, has nothing to do with Hannibal Lecter or cannibals or anything like that.
No, it's so funny.
Hannibal like does that whole like no, not Hannibal. What's her name in the movie? I can't remember the character's name. Clarice. Duh.
Clarice.
Should known that. Yeah.
Jodie Foster.
Clarice. Jodie Foster does the whole talks about the sheep in her past or whatever, and it kind of matches up with the title.
Oh, right.
She talks about like the sheep screaming.
Yeah, but he takes that story later on. I don't know why I'm arguing with you about this, but he takes that story later on in the movie and says that line verbatim. Like
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it makes like that. What I'm saying is like the title of the book or the film both line up within the story. Whereas, do androids dream of electric sheep? I don't know, but they certainly dream of unicorns, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Electric origami unicorns. No, it's kind of like that in songs too. Like sometimes you'll listen to a song by an artist and it's called like, The Climb, for lack of a better.
No,
that one's obvious, but sometimes they'll put like those two words like in the middle of verse 2 or whatever, instead of like in the chorus where like the climb is,
or it's nowhere to be found. Like it's just a title.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, darn you, Philip K. Dick.
Yeah. Darn you, and your electric sheep.
Hey, Vangelis, dude.
Yeah. Hey, I was actually gonna say like, dude, there's a lot of correlation between the two films. Like the score in this movie is insane. I think that it just slaps. That's what the kids say today. It slaps
these days.
That's what they say these days. It slaps, and so much so that like I consider it on par with the score from 2049, and I thought the score from 2049 slapped.
Excuse me, Nick. I think the score for this just kind of elevated the sci-fi genre a little bit more. That's not to say that like there haven't been scores that incorporated electrical elements or like technological sounds or whatever, right? But because I think if I watched what was that movie?
First Man.
No. But there was a remake with Keanu Reeves in the mid 2000s. The Day the Earth Stood Still, the original, black and white original. Like I think it came out like
40s,
30 years before this came out.
Yeah,
that had a bunch of cool elements in.
I see what you're saying.
So, but I think like this kind of set the pace for like a lot of the sci-fi stuff we hear today.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, yeah, Vangelis like
Yeah.
slaps.
Yeah, slaps, dude. That's what the kids are saying. Yeah, no, I actually found this little clip. It's actually the most random thing on YouTube, but it was like the first 5 minutes of the movie in 4K Ultra HD, and I said, yes,
Nice.
I've got to watch that because I saw it in 720 and it wasn't good enough for me. So I watched it, and like that pan over shot when they're like going up to that pyramid, Tyrell, I guess is what that is, right?
Yeah.
And Vangelis' score in the background, it's just magical. It's magical.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's insane. Yeah, and like I watched that scene. Sorry to interrupt you, but sorry.
No,
but I was watching that scene, and it's like it's remastered in 4K, and there's still the use of matte paintings like they use throughout the film for the deep extended background. They use matte paintings for that stuff, and rendered in 4K, it's like that doesn't even exist. It's like it's still matte paintings, but now it looks like it's just like bokeh'd out background. Like it's insane. It looks so good.
Yeah, I believe the Final Cut version is a remastered version in 4K, if I'm not mistaken. So that's really cool. But I watched the Final Cut version, but it's on HBO Max.
I see.
So it's not 4K.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know I saw it on Blu-ray, but my television is 720. I don't want to. I want to.
Bro, what are you doing?
Living
with
in
your
the dark
life?
ages, dude. Living in the dark ages. Got that television. Went out and got it myself with my allowance right before I went to college. Been watching on it ever since then.
God, and all the LEDs and everything still are.
I got a little flicker. Honestly, if I play video games on it, which I cannot do, I'll be halfway through something and the PlayStation is just pushing so much content that the TV just decides to shut off. So any online fast-paced games, I've just said no, I'd rather just not play than lose because of my television.
Right. Anyways, I think the score is very comparable with 2049 and what Hans Zimmer did. But they're very distinct.
Yeah.
There's a very big difference between them. There's a lot of similarities, but there's a huge difference between them. And I have to compliment Hans Zimmer on not trying to be Vangelis in the 2049 score, because what he did there was also pretty amazing.
Astonishing, dude. I think both scores are separately astonishing. So good.
Yeah, they're both great. What's really cool about the score here in this one is that it's almost it almost built atmosphere. It's not just a score for moments.
Right.
It's it's almost throughout the entire film, and it's very synthetic, for lack of a better term. Yeah, and it fills the room. Yeah. It almost seems like. Yeah. For example, there's in the scene that Deckard meets Rachel, there's these almost wind chimes in the score.
Yep. Yeah.
And it doesn't feel out of place to the environment that they're in.
Yeah, exactly.
This dark environment, lights flickering about, and
it's
just
second nature.
It complements.
There's wind chimes.
It complements the visuals. But yeah, Vangelis, dude, what a
slaps.
Incredible.
Yep.
Is he still alive? I don't even know.
I don't know either. That's a good question. Yeah, that's a good question here. I off of the fact of the score, something to different now. After Solaris,
we did Alien.
And even after 2001: A Space Odyssey, I guess, one thing that's really flooded my thoughts is how we think of sci-fi, these days, pedestrians would think of sci-fi as laser guns and aliens and spaceships and really fun, fast-paced, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Pedestrians think that way. Not us.
You sound like the little baby in Family Guy.
Oh, Stewie.
Stewie, there you
go. What I'm saying is, after those films that we watched, 2001, Solaris, Alien, even to a degree, for sure. These directors in this era of sci-fi film are I feel like they're really capitalizing on the idea that there is this sort of pressure or despair, for lack of a better word, in that openness, the void of space. You know what I mean? So when it comes to editing, scenes feel, heck, dude, Planet of the Apes even. Now, I'm not going to give them any credit. That was just bad editing. But the editing style is so sparse, even like scenes seem so much longer than they would in films today. And I think in these that I'm talking about, that was really intentional in the concept of like Tarkovsky even said it, like he's doing this intentionally to build pressure. What he wants is a pressure to build in us as a viewers, and he wants to take us to that point to where we expect something to happen and then just change it. You know what I mean? So scenes feel longer than they should. They do in Blade Runner, they do in Solaris, they do in 2001, and that seems super intentional to me. Go ahead.
I don't think it's totally. I think 2001 and Solaris was very, very intentional. So much so that they lingered on shots for so long, like static shots lingering. You know what I mean? Like very, very intentional. Yeah. I feel like what Ridley Scott does here is a little bit different than what Kubrick
it's different
and
for
Tarkovsky
sure.
were doing.
For sure.
Like, for example, in Blade Runner, that scene where Roy and what was the dude that was with him? The other dude that
Leon?
Was it Leon? The one that got shot by Rachel?
Well, Leon's the one who talking about the opening scene.
Yeah, him.
Yeah.
So
because it was Leon, Roy, Pris, and
yeah,
there was a fourth person. Was she gone?
She gone.
Yeah, way early on.
But Roy and Leon are talking, and they're about to like go find the dude that makes their eyes, the replicant's eyes.
Yeah, the guy in the snow room with the tubes coming out of it.
Yeah. At first, I was like, "Is this guy an alien?"
It's crazy. That's so cool. Then they pull his tubes out.
It's so cool because like he's like kept warm in that big.
And then they take it off.
You ever seen like the NFL when like in the middle of the winter, like the quarterbacks are wearing these huge like coat, like
these like parkas
that's
almost.
what it reminded me of.
You know who he reminded me of? From Atlantis, the lost city in the sea. He reminded me of the little geologist guy, the mole guy, because he had the same suit and everything on.
It's funny. He reminded me of Mr. Miyagi. That was a bad joke.
Just because of his mustache or what?
Yeah. So in that scene when they're about to go in there, Ridley Scott, like they're talking. I can't remember what they say in that scene. And then they walk away towards the shop. And Ridley Scott, instead of cutting away to the guy inside the shop, he dollies the camera away.
Right.
And gives us more of the environment.
Yeah.
So I think that's what Ridley Scott does. I think he doesn't cut away right away. He doesn't have like a fast editing, like a fast-paced editing, but he lets us see the environment that these characters are in. And like bikes drive a bunch of bicyclists.
Spinners.
Which is really funny because this is 2000. Well, I guess it's 1982's version of 2019. I guess they're like, yeah, bikes still exist.
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, you didn't let me finish though.
Oh, sure. Good.
What I was saying was, the use of this in some ways is pressure to build. Even Alien, like the duration of shots, duration of scenes, even was to build pressure for us. This film may not be that. It's environmental, like looking into that, whatever. What I'm saying is like a film like this today, Blade Runner 2049, apart from that, because that's kind of what I'm building up to. Like, sci-fi today is just so fast-paced. It's so action, and it just wasn't that in the beginning. Like in the beginning, sci-fi, and it's evident in these, even in The Thing, dude. Like we're gonna talk about that, but like even in The Thing, it's like they really want us as the viewers to soak in everything, soak in what the film has to offer, soak in the environment, soak in what the crew of Solaris or that space station is feeling, is thinking. Like they want us to soak it in and not Pacific Rim it and just like wait for the next sword fight. Like, are you seeing what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. I don't think Pacific Rim is a good mirror to this, right? Because like a good way to bounce off, because I think Pacific Rim for the most part is not really a sci-fi film. It's more of a adventure monster film. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess if
like
you want to make a
Godzilla
subgenre
wasn't really a
like
sci-fi
that.
film. I'm saying like Godzilla. I think wasn't really. I don't think Godzilla's considered sci-fi.
What do you
know what I
what do you
mean?
call it?
A monster movie. I think it's a monster movie.
Is that a thing? Monster movies?
No, the thing is next week.
No, is that a thing though? Monster movies?
I think so.
Yeah. Maybe it is. Maybe I haven't heard of that, but yeah, maybe so.
Maybe we should do a season on it
On
so that
monster
you can
movies?
just Godzilla.
Oh my god.
Up until 1950 though, so everything from the 30s to the 50s, just the stop
You know what I'm
motion
saying though?
claymation.
You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like
I see what you're saying for sure. I think I'm trying to think of like a recent sci-fi film that would be opposing would complement your.
You know what really got me thinking on this? The other day I watched Signs. And
Ooh, okay.
Signs is a sci-fi movie in a way. I guess that's
It has aliens.
It has aliens.
I guess
it makes me focus on people's humanity.
But it's not about it at all, right?
Exactly. Right. But still, like Signs.
I'm gonna shut up so you can make your point.
Signs makes me focus on the pressure. It makes me focus on the goal of the director, of what he wants to relay to us, the message that he wants to relay. Whereas, dude, I'm having such a hard time because I know that there's sci-fi movies out there that are like,
well, I mean, you could talk about like freaking
pistols and tentacles, like.
You could talk about like a freaking Skyline or
any of those.
Like they're really trash.
Rampage with that giant monkey and that
but that's
giant
not
wolf.
sci-fi.
Is that a
I guess
monster movie? What is it?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Where do you draw the lines with these things? Dude, even Minority Report, I hate to say it, but Minority Report is like that. It's so fast paced, and that's the point of the movie, right? The point of the movie is it's an action film more than it is a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, but like, do action films always have to be like that? Because you could look at, like, for example, The Unbreakables. The Unbreakables, it's an action movie.
What is The Unbreakables?
Untouchables. Sorry,
what is that?
Untouchables with Kevin Costner.
Oh, yeah, that's not an action movie though.
That's an action.
No, that's
movie.
a shoot 'em up. That's a mafia movie. It's a shoot 'em up. What, dude? Would you call The Godfather an action movie?
No, but that's different.
No, it's not.
It's so much more about the drama within the family than anything else.
Would you call Drive an action movie?
Oh, that's hard.
No, it's not.
I guess
it's not, dude.
We're blurring a lot of
Drive is
lines
art
here.
house. That's not action. Oh, come on.
Yes, it's art house, but like, I mean, Blade Runner's art house, if you want to think about it.
No, Blade Runner's
come
neo-noir
on.
sci-fi, dude.
It's a neo-noir sci-fi art house
this
film.
is the stupidest conversation we've ever had. No, dude. No. All right. My point is,
maybe I just don't see what your point is. Maybe I'm confused with your point.
you get it though. Like here's what I'm saying. Watching these classic sci-fi films. Watching these classic sci-fi films and seeing the trash that's pumped out today, like,
well, yeah, I feel like sci-fi today is like B movies.
dude, maybe it's because yeah,
what is going on right now?
B movies.
You know what I mean?
Yep, yeah, it's like Anaconda and
exactly,
and
Skyline,
Skyline, but
or
Skyline,
like Netflix has a ton of sci-fi films originals, and they feel like B movies.
oh yeah, like Six Underground.
No, that's not a sci-fi.
What else then, dude? What else?
What's the name of that one dude that was opposite Jake Gyllenhaal in End of Watch? Can't remember.
Michael
his name right
Pena.
now. He's an Ant-Man. Yeah, Michael Pena.
Yep.
He's in a movie. I can't remember the name right now. And it's a Netflix original. It's a sci-fi film about alien invasion.
Oh,
and it's
dude, I know exactly what you're talking about.
dude.
Is it trash?
It's not trash, but it's not good.
Chronicle.
And it's a B movie.
I loved
It's not
Chronicle.
Oh, Chronicle's
Yeah,
different.
Chronicle's more of a POV.
Is that a genre like within
dude,
itself?
'cause there's like Party X, Hardcore Henry,
Project
yeah,
X.
Party X Project.
Cloverfield.
Yep.
Cloverfield.
Well,
that's a sci-fi.
Yep. But that one.
That's a good one though.
Yeah. My point is moot.
Well, you can even go as far as like Cloverfield Lane.
No,
10 Cloverfield
but that
Lane.
rocked. I loved 10 Cloverfield.
That one, it's really
it's
great.
super
It's
good.
really great.
It's super
Is it
good.
sci-fi?
Yes.
Just because it's in a world that is invaded by aliens, we see the aliens for like 5 minutes at the end of the film. Is that sci-fi?
No, you know what I would call that? Lovecraftian.
Yeah,
10
I'd
Cloverfield
agree with
Lane is
that.
Lovecraftian.
It's much more Lovecraftian.
Yeah, shoot, dude. We've really dug ourselves a hole here.
Yeah, God. When are we going to get back out of this hole to Blade Runner?
Anyway, dude, all I'm saying is I'm going to simplify it to this movie. This one does, and maybe it's the noir genre because noir films are like that. Like everything is kind of like, it's almost like we're just chilling in a lounge, smoking a cigar, and we're just experiencing this life. Like it there doesn't seem to be that high intensity of an action movie or irregularities in the environment of an alien film. Like this film does such a good job of ingraining us, and it's almost as if we're experiencing something. I mean, the most intensity I felt was in that final scene where Roy and Deckard are fighting, but even still, like that was tame. Like, you know what does that make sense? Like there's nothing in this film that's aggressively pushing us forward.
I don't know, dude. Roy is very aggressive.
But he's not though. Like maybe his actions.
He's very aggressive.
He's not though. Maybe his intentions.
He's a mix.
Maybe his intentions are aggressive.
I agree.
But he's not being like furious and intense and punch.
Dude. I think Tyrell. I think Tyrell would disagree.
Yeah. Thus, here's our movie. Like, yeah. Oh my gosh, dude. To be in the room when Roy Batty just puts his thumbs through Tyrell's eyeballs. Am I right? Oh, one can only dream.
Can you die from that, do you think?
I don't think Tyrell died.
You don't?
No, I don't think he did. I think that, I mean, maybe when he ripped his face in half or whatever he did next, he died. But I don't think he died because of the eyeballs. I think that's just, my mom always used to tell me, Brandt, if you get kidnapped, gouge somebody's eyeballs out. She did. She would tell me that.
I've gotten I've heard that before. Speaking of now that we're mentioning Tyrell's eyeballs, I wonder if Denis Villeneuve was inspired by that
to take away
to make Jared Leto's character blind.
Dude, that's a deep cut.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool if that's the case.
Anyways, I'm sure like Villeneuve is very intentional with everything he does.
Dude, he's a master. Oh. And that was another thing I was going to talk to you about. I was actually really curious about Villeneuve's and Scott's relationship on production of this movie because Scott produced it. Like Ridley Scott was a producer for 2049, is what I'm saying. And I actually after yeah,
I was like, wait, Villeneuve was doing things for Blade Runner.
Absolutely. As a toddler, he was part of production of Blade Runner, the original. No, I was really curious.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I was curious about Ridley Scott's involvement and apparently.
You got to be very hands off.
No, he wasn't, dude.
Very confident with.
He was in it.
Oh, that's interesting.
To the point where Villeneuve said 1 or 2 days on production, he had to ask Scott to leave because he felt too much pressure.
Oh,
and
wow.
He said, it was actually really funny how he said it because he was like, one day he got fed up with it. And I can just imagine Denis Villeneuve saying it like this way because in interviews and everything, he seems like such a kind-hearted guy. But he was like, hey, Ridley, like, who are your favorite directors? And he goes, I'm a big Ingmar Bergman fan. I love Kubrick. And he goes, okay, so let's say you're shooting Alien,
a
and
sequel
Ingmar
to
Bergman is
2001.
standing behind you. And he said Ridley Scott started laughing and walked off set. He was like, I got it. I'm out.
Oh, that's
but
so
apparently
funny.
He was like,
no, but was Ridley Scott very involved with like production?
He wrote.
No, I get that, right? But like, for example, I feel like directors get their fingerprints all over their production, right? Like,
I don't think he felt.
For example,
I think he felt like they were a team.
No, I get that, but for example, I'm saying, how do I say? I obviously knowing, well, I presume, right? I presume that Denis Villeneuve is a very kind-hearted person, like you said.
It seems that way.
And I believe that he has so much respect for the people that came before him, these directors that set the bar, right, where it is, like Ridley Scott. So I'm sure 100% that Denis Villeneuve would come to Ridley Scott for approval on a lot of things for Blade Runner 2049. But Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049 are two very separate things, and they're dealing with a lot of different things. And I feel like Villeneuve's fingerprints are all over 2049. And so I wonder where the boundary was for Ridley to like go hands off and be like, this isn't my film.
I guess there was like a paperwork scenario where like Ridley Scott was signing over the opportunity to make Blade Runner 2049, and he was like I want Villeneuve to have complete freedom. Like I want him to feel like.
Yeah, I assume that's what it was.
But at the same time, dude, like look at it. I agree. Production wise, even plot wise, but the films are similar. Like they're.
No, I agree that they're similar. I think that they're very different in style.
Yeah, I agree. Blade Runner 2049 is not a noir.
No, I don't feel like it is.
No.
Yeah.
Art house.
Hey,
art house sci-fi.
Yeah. Hey, let's get into some of the like the behind the scenes kind of stuff.
Yeah, go for it.
Blade Runner.
What are you thinking?
I found out that Harrison Ford did not really enjoy this experience.
Oh yeah, and on the adverse,
and that
Ridley Scott
like barely even
working with him.
Well, that's another thing that's interesting. So, Alien and his first film, Ridley Scott's The Last Duel, I think it was called. I can't remember now. The Duelist.
Yes, The Last
Duel is a new
Duel.
movie he's making. The Final Duel or whatever. But no, The Duelist and Alien were both shot in London.
Okay.
Whereas this was not shot in London, it was shot in the U.S. And the filming styles of both of these productions, these two sets, these crews, is totally different. I actually believe that in Aliens, Aliens was shot in London, and James Cameron also had a lot of a hard time with the English crew in London, because in England they take what's it called, afternoon tea.
What do you mean they take afternoon tea?
That's part of their like schedule. And Cameron was like, what are we doing? Where'd everybody go? And everybody's out having afternoon tea.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
And so like in the adverse, Ridley Scott had a hard time with the American crew here in the US at first, because they just didn't respect them. So much so that like I believe the crew at one point printed out shirts and wore them to the set saying making fun of his like British accent or something like that. I can't remember what it said right now. So and there's a lot of like clashing there. And on the another thing is that apparently there was like an actor strike or something like that, or a writer strike. I can't remember right now, during the pre-production of Blade Runner. So they had to postpone production. And during that time, the art director on the film actually had a ton of time to work on these sets.
Yeah.
So that's why the set is so like extensive and so like well like decorated.
Right.
Which is incrable, and I mean, thank God for that actor strike.
It was like 40 straight days where he had nothing to do but work on set design. Wasn't that the case?
Yeah, something like that.
That was crazy.
But Harrison Ford signed on to this because he wanted something different than the two characters he had portrayed before this, which was a Han Solo, but also he had just finished shooting Raiders of the Lost Ark right before jumping on this production. And apparently Ridley Scott actually hired Harrison Ford based off of Steven Spielberg's word that he was so great in Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is like funny to me, because like, what do you mean you only Ridley Scott, all he's seen at this point was Han Solo, right. And then Steven Spielberg's like, yeah, he's great, so he hires him. But it's funny because Ridley Scott hires him and basically like lets him have the floor, like doesn't talk to him about the character, doesn't give him any pointers, doesn't give him what he wants him to do with the character, just lets him do whatever he wants with the character. And Harrison Ford was very flustered with this, so much so that on set they're shooting, and right before shooting he would try to ask a question to Ridley Scott, and Ridley Scott's just like, let's make sure these columns are turned upside down because I don't like the way they look right now. And like, let's get more fog in the room. Doesn't care about Harrison Ford. So Harrison Ford hated this whole thing.
Yeah, and then on top of that, the narration. He despised that.
Oh yeah,
he despised that he had to do that.
It's so funny to me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think I think I read somewhere that Harrison Ford like walked off set one day. Like they got in this massive argument and he like walked off that set.
Oh yeah.
It's out there somewhere. Don't quote me on it, but it's out there. Yeah.
Another thing that I thought was interesting is that I recently watched all of it's on Netflix. I think don't quote me on that, but I think all the trilogy, the Indiana Jones trilogy, is on Netflix. Yeah. And in The Last Crusade, there's a scene where Harrison Ford is like trying to get into this Nazi castle, right, to save his dad, yes, Sean Connery, and he walks in and pretends to be like a lord of some kind, and he has like this really stupid accent. And I believe in Star Wars too. Isn't there a scene in Star Wars where he like breaks into somewhere and has like makes it like the stupid voice, like fakes his voice somehow to like pretend like he's. I may be mistaken.
I don't know about Star Wars, but I know in the Indiana Jones one, he says, "If you're Lord, then I'm Mickey Mouse," and then he punches him in the face.
But then in this, he does the same thing with at the strip club.
Oh, right.
And he puts on like the stupid like like voice.
Yeah, this like dope.
And in my head is like, why does he have that voice?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's not like this person even knows who he is. Right. Like, just use your regular voice.
Right. Yeah. How funny is that? Yeah, because that was the first one. That was the first of the 4 replicants.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah, I don't remember her name
either. She died so quick. Yeah.
Which that whole scene is really cool.
Yeah, I thought so
too.
The
whole scene with like her getting shot through the window pane,
and then that like
all the echo, the reverb in that whole scene is so cool.
Yeah, and like the outfit specifically because it had like that like clear raincoat or whatever. When she got shot, like the whole thing was covered in blood. Yeah. I thought that was so unique because no windows to be able to do that with, but he like used this like.
Yeah.
Is this the first time that we saw the concept of like separation of society like that, where the upper echelon people are starting to move off of, but in a sci-fi, I mean, like,
are they off world? I don't remember.
Yep. So
is it? Yeah.
On world has become more of this ghetto, more of this like Las Vegas for lack of.
Is it?
But like asking that about like, is this the first example of off world, on world, kind of like that division? I think about that movie with Kristen Dunst.
Melancholia?
No, it's that other one where it's like
Melancholia. They're on
where it's like the two planets are almost touching, and then there's a gravity.
I don't remember the name, but it's with
through.
Jim Sturgis.
Yep, it's the same concept. Or Neil Blomkamp stuff. Not District 9, but
no, the other Elysium.
Yeah, that was the concept like that, but
yeah, that's a more straightforward concept. Yeah, it's a pretty similar concept where the rich people are living in this like thing.
I think this is the first time we saw that.
It might be.
That's an interesting theory. Like that's an interesting concept to come up with. I don't know if Philip K. Dick's novel is like that or not.
Me neither.
But
no, that's an interesting concept for sure. It actually reminds me a little bit of even Dune. Although Dune, it's all on one planet.
Right. It's like just separation of
separate. Yeah. But still,
which we see all the time.
But I mean, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like in sci-fi, we see that a lot.
Right.
The whole class system.
Yeah.
And even a lot of. It's funny because like I feel like sci-fi is one of those genres that has the ability to really like be like a commentary on societal things and in especially in like present things,
but in such a drastic way.
Because they can exactly
scenarios.
Because they can be exactly they can be so drastic.
Yeah, but you're right. Like they have such flexibility, and I don't know why they have such flexibility. They have such flexibility to like create this class system, and it can be two drastic things, but we relate to it. Even back to the humanity thing, like we relate to it on such a humanic level, like just. I mean, what we know is our own lives, so it's easy for us to like project that into. But yeah, I'm sure that there's like commentary that goes along with it from the production side of things too.
Yeah,
but yeah,
out of all of the Philip K. Dick books and novels and stories, out of all the adaptations from those stories. What do you think is your favorite?
You'll have to hit me with them. I read them just the other day, like the list of them.
I don't think I have a full list here, but just a few of them here is Total Recall, which we'll get to later on this season. You mentioned another one, Minority Report, earlier in the episode.
They all have a really similar.
A Scanner Darkly.
Oh yeah, dude, that one is weird.
But it's good.
Yeah,
it's good.
That one is weird.
I think this is probably my favorite.
Yeah, me too. Out of those, unless I'm able to choose the newest Total Recall, then probably that.
What?
No, I'm kidding. It's funny though. Philip K. Dick had a pulse on something that we didn't, like this whole like futuristic society. Like, I mean, if his books are like that, he's developing these entire cultures. Like, what an imaginative mind. Yeah. Like, Total Recall, Blade Runner.
Oh, Adjustment Bureau. That was
gosh.
Well. And then we can talk about some of the bad ones, like Paycheck, starring Ben Affleck and Uma Thurman. Or Next, starring Nicolas Cage.
Love Next. Love Next.
No, stop
dude,
it. Stop it.
Based on all of these, I bet In Time was one of his too. With Justin Timberlake.
No, dude. No,
that sounds like that sounds like a Philip K. Dick novel. I loved In Time.
Hey, did you really?
Yeah, Justin
serious?
Timberlake, Amanda Seyfried.
I may have to rewatch that now since you loved it so much. I don't remember liking it. You got a stupid face on.
You
didn't
I
like
loved
this.
it. I thought it was so
Did you really?
unique. Yeah, it was like that other.
Okay,
one.
I think it's on HBO Max, so I'll try to watch it this.
There's
weekend.
that other movie that's time based. I think it's called Time, or Time Mirror, maybe.
Time Machine?
Yeah, the Time Machine.
Clock Stoppers?
No, it's that one where everyone has a timer on their wrist, and it's like when your timer hits 0, you should be like standing in front of your soulmate or something like that. Like it's a timer that tells you how long until you meet your soulmate forever.
That sounds like a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah, it's almost exactly like a Black Mirror episode. It's crazy.
Yeah, could be.
I love time-based stuff. Like
hey, I don't
Tenet. Tenet's a time.
Yeah,
go
any Christopher Nolan film is based on time pretty much.
Prestige, Insomnia, Memento.
Anything minus the Dark Knight trilogy.
The Dark Knight trilogy. None of those are time based.
Memento's time based.
Only because it's moving backwards on the plot. But
The Prestige is time based.
No,
it's jumping back and forth between the plot. Dunkirk is time based.
Don't be silly. Don't. No.
Yes, dude. Christopher Nolan has an affinity to time, and he always puts that theme in his films.
Yeah, sure. The theme of time is we're talking about the theme of time and
Insomnia.
No, oh my gosh.
Yes, dude. It's the time within the character's mind.
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about time as a central motive, like Interstellar or Inception or not even Inception, maybe, or Tenet or
Listen,
In Time.
I think we should start wrapping this up because we could. I say this every episode. We could literally talk about these.
We could talk about time forever.
We could talk about these and then go into rabbit holes forever.
Yeah. No, I'm appreciative of Ridley Scott. I feel bad because I feel like our last episode might have given the listener the sense that I wasn't. I'm appreciative of what he has to offer as a director. I think that Blade Runner
minus Alien.
I think that Roy Batty's emotional response at the end of this movie is pure, and it's like I think that whole final scene is like top 5 movie speeches of all time. I feel it's incredible. The last 5 minutes of this movie are incredible. It's incredible. Yeah. I think that his projection of humanity and the concept of humanity and what he's searching for in making this, he nailed it. I think it's so good.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. So I won't even.
Don't even try it. Heck, you won't even be able to.
Hey, before we close out this episode, I wanted to know what you've been watching lately because I feel like we get so bogged down. This isn't a bad thing, but we get so bogged down in these seasons and what we're watching for these podcasts. But I also want to know what you're watching outside of that.
Besides Signs, I've mentioned that earlier today.
Yeah, you mentioned
Signs. Yeah. Heck, dude, I've seen a lot in the last week. Hereditary, I watched recently.
Stop it.
But Brianna and I actually started a new series today that we're really digging.
Oh,
we're halfway through it. Woke on Hulu.
Oh, I haven't heard about that.
It's really good.
Give me
the synopsis is this
spoiler free, but
Yeah.
like make me want to watch it.
Well, yeah, you'll see all this in the trailer, but the protagonist of the character is Winston Bishop from New Girl, Lamorne. I can't remember his last name, but he's a black guy in San Francisco. He's a cartoonist for the newspaper, and he's living in this like he's never been antagonized for the color of his skin, so he's living in kind of like this like daze almost. And one day he's like putting something up on the bulletin board in the park, gets attacked by the police, and he's like all of a sudden just like, why is this happening to me? Like he's going through this whole like realization, and the whole time all of his cartoons are coming to life and talking to him and like
that's
and like guiding him through this. So he's like freaking out on his cartoons, but he's also having like this super public and like super powered like realization of systemic racism,
coming to terms with like the color of the skin.
It's super unique.
That's so interesting. I recently watched a video on. So I'm Brazilian. You know
I do know that.
Maybe our viewers don't. But I've mentioned this before. I left Brazil when I was very young. I was 8 years old, and whenever this whole we're getting so off topic on like movies right now, but I think it's worth it. Whenever this whole Black Lives Matter movement started going with all the stuff that's happening in the world today, in the U.S. especially, I feel like the other parts of the world are looking at this and being like starting to wake up as well. So much so that I used to believe that racism wasn't a big thing in Brazil, because of just the systemic things that were happening in Brazil.
Right.
And like the verbiage that was used, it actually there in Brazil, especially when it was still a dictatorship, it was controlled by the military, and back then they used to say that they were a democracy that other countries could look at and be like, we want to be closer to what they're doing with their like racial democracy, and how like everything was so much more equal. Well, that was all a ruse. It wasn't really how it was.
Sure.
And I think I watched a video on YouTube recently. I think it was Vox that put it out in the last month, and it's about like these black skinned people in Brazil and coming to the realization that they are black, that they don't even realize it, because it like the government itself has for such a long time said that like we're multicultural and ethical and multiculturally ethnical.
Gotcha.
God, had to really focus there. And how we're like a blend of everything, and like it's not true, because you look at all like the people in power, they're all predominantly white, and they're all like, you know, all this kind of thing. So just now people are starting to realize, and even me, I'm pale, I'm like a sheet of paper packed, coming to the realization that like Brazil isn't as like racially ethical as I thought it was. And just coming to that realization that I was just like, there's a veil over my. So that's interesting. I am definitely gonna look that up. Whoa,
limited series, 8 episodes long.
Definitely gonna check that out. My wife is out of town for her best friend's bridal shower. I think one of those things. Baby shower,
bridal shower, bachelorette party,
bridal shower. So I kind of have like a lot of free time on my hands to watch whatever I want, instead of normally like, hey babe, what do you want to watch? Like, you know, that whole thing. So I'm planning on watching Hereditary. Watched Signs last week. That you mentioned both of those, so I thought that was interesting that we both watched those or are going to watch.
Well, I think it's because we spurred ourselves on to watch these. Like
that's
you
true,
said something to me about Signs last week, and then I watched Signs, and then I said something to you about Signs, and then you watched Signs.
Yeah. I watched Signs twice.
Signs is a good one.
It is a good one. But last night I ended up like staying up all night and binge watching The Outsider on HBO. Primo. Incredible.
Really good. One unique thing about The Outsider.
I was blown away.
Jason Bateman directed.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if that was the case.
Jason Bateman directed, and
all episodes.
He directed all episodes, and I think that's why his character was so quick. I think it's because he directed and it was too much, so he was like out. I think he was like, I'm gonna cut myself. Like,
well, I mean, it's part of the Stephen King.
I know, but I think he probably put himself in that role intentionally to be he wanted to act.
No, it's good, man. It's really
good. And the police chief, I want to say.
Ben Mendelsohn?
No, Ben Mendelsohn is top tier for me. He's always delivering. The first time I saw Ben Mendelsohn's performance was in Animal Kingdom, that movie with Guy Pearce, Ben Mendelsohn, Joel Egerton.
Oh, God. Oh, I'm aware of the movie, but I've never watched it.
Ben Mendelsohn slayed in that. Mississippi Grind with Ryan Reynolds slayed. What else, dude? Oh, he's just always killing.
Didn't he do another HBO series?
Yes.
With the dude from Friday Night Lights. I can't remember the name now.
That was Netflix.
They were
brothers.
Netflix. Oh, that was Netflix.
But Bloodlines.
Something Blood.
Bloodlines with
Bloodlines.
Linda Cardellini, himself. The guy from Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, really good.
But what I'm saying is the other guy who gets infected, the police chief who gets.
Oh yeah.
He kills. He was in. He was in that other show on Netflix with Jason Bateman, Ozark.
Oh yeah, that's another good one.
He's super good in that. We should do a show on TV.
Hey, Cynthia Erivo.
Dude.
Too.
Oh my
Incredible.
gosh.
She blew my mind.
That was the first time I had seen Cynthia Erivo perform, and then the Oscars came out, and she did that.
She wasn't Harriet, right?
But she did her performance in Harriet, the vocal performance.
Oh,
and then we watched Harriet like a week later. But
I haven't watched Harriet yet, but I've been wanting to. She was in a movie with like Liam Neeson, I think, a couple years ago. No, it was one with like it was a bunch of like widows. I think the name of the movie is Widows. Actually,
yes, my wife watched that on the plane.
Yeah,
Widows.
She was in that.
Yeah,
I don't remember liking the movie, but I remember
she hated it.
Remembering her. And if I remember her, even if it's a bad movie, if I remember her, I think she did a good job.
She does a good. She slays. Yeah, dude.
Slaps. Slays. I mean, we're getting into the lingo here with kids. These young people.
Yeah. No, The Outsider, super good. Yeah.
Hey, what are you watching this week though?
Oh,
because I have a whole. I have like I have 24 hours before my wife gets back, and I'm trying to like fill my time.
What am I watching? Upcoming?
Yeah, like that I can go ahead and watch.
Woke. And we're going to start Yellowstone tonight.
That's 8 hours, though. I got another 16 hours.
We're going to start Yellowstone.
Yellowstone.
Have you watched Yellowstone?
Isn't that Kevin Costner? He's just coming up a lot in this podcast.
Yeah,
recently.
Kevin Costner, because he was in Yellowstone and then also that other movie that we mentioned today. He's just coming up a lot, twice total.
Untouchables.
Yes, the Untouchables. Yeah, see, Unbreakable is that movie with Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah.
Yes.
Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
Mr. Glass.
That's another good one.
No.
Hey, that's the second time we mentioned that. You don't like that?
I like it for what it is, but don't say, hey, that's a good one. Like, oh man, it's just incredible.
Unbreakable.
The second time we've mentioned M. Night Shyamalan.
Is how you pronounce it, I believe.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, man. He's Signs.
The Village.
I think I like The Village.
Mr. Glass.
Personally.
Split.
No, I think it's called Glass.
He did
that one's not good. Split was good. Airbender. That was terrible.
The Happening.
He's a little hit or miss.
The Happening was trash. That was him.
Oh, I watched that recently, actually. Oh, you know what? We were talking about B movies. I feel like I think I've mentioned this to you before. I feel like M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening is like him trying to make a B movie.
No, we have talked about this.
And I think it's intentionally bad.
I think so too.
And so like I don't like it. It's a bad movie, but I think it's intentionally
just like
bad.
Sharknado.
It's interesting. Yeah, that kind of thing. It's a B movie in its purpose.
He didn't do I Am Legend, did he?
No. He did The Last Airbender and After Earth. Those two are trash.
After Earth, dude.
I never finished it.
He didn't do that one with Tom Cruise, did he? Oblivion?
No. Oh, who made that?
I don't know, but
that
Oblivion
was good.
slaps.
Yeah. Don't you own the soundtrack for that?
Vinyl record.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, dude. So that's what I'm watching. I'll hit you up with an update when we record our next episode.
Oh yeah, let's do that.
All right, dog.
All right, everybody. If you guys enjoyed the episode, we're glad.
Yes,
we're glad you enjoyed it.
That was our sole purpose. Your listening pleasure.
Hey, if you guys want to hear back, if you've missed other episodes, we have I think 4 more episodes before this in our sci-fi classics season, and then we have a whole season before that too on Denis Villeneuve if you want to check that out, and a couple bonus episodes. So go ahead and check those out if you like this episode. If you have something to add to this episode, because I'm sure we didn't touch on everything with Blade Runner, or if you want to like hate on us for saying something wrong, go ahead and do that in the comments below.
Yep.
And follow us on Instagram, where we'll be posting a ton of content on this film and all these other films we've mentioned. And we'll see you there.
Yep. Thanks for listening.